Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of Naruto, student of Madara. If you guys enjoy this what if, and want to see part 2 of it, comment down below and let me know. The like goal for this video is 100 likes. So like this video, to let me know that you're interested in this series, and you want the next part. And go ahead, and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. The Valley of the End. An ancient battleground to two gods of shinobi, also a place where ideals clashed. The valley was like a large scar upon the land, a titanic clash that shook the boundaries of the ninja world and beyond. Madara Uchiha engaged his old friend and rival Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage, in a battle to the death to decide who would be the Hokage, and lead the village of their dreams, the dreams they created as children. Armed with the power of the eternal Mingekyo Sharingan, and the Kyuubi no Kitsune as his pet, Madara could very well win, if he was battling a normal opponent. Hashirama Senju was known as the god of shinobi, the strongest man in the world. The Hokage was known for having a powerful Keki Genkai, the wood release by simultaneously using water release and earth release, was the Senju leader able to create forests and jungles in a barren landscape. The wood release also allowed him to restrain and control Biju, tailed beasts, chakra monsters, whatever you want to call them. The Kyuubi no Kitsune, one of the non-Biju and the most powerful among them, was used as a tool by a human with amazing visual prowess. If there was one thing the Kyuubi hated, it was humans. If there was one thing the Kyuubi despised, it was the Sharingan, the damn copy wheel eye. Put these two together and you have something the Kyuubi loathed with all its being. The giant fox with its massive 9 tails that could crush mountains and create tsunamis, with its breath it could forge hurricanes or produce infernos, would never allow itself to be subjugated. Especially to an Uchiha, it would not become like the rest of its brethren, caged. However, that's exactly what happened, and now it was helpless, unless someone freed it from its chains. History was repeating itself yet again. The descendants of the two sons of the Sage of Six Paths were spilling blood again, thanks to their different ideals. The older son's belief that power secured peace became the curse of hatred that most if not all Uchiha would inherit, while the younger son's belief that love was the true way to achieve peace transformed into the will of fire. An ideal that all in the Hidden Leaf village would learn and accept. The two powerhouses assaulted each other with powers none thought were capable. Cutting mountains, splitting the landscape, and overall destruction was what created the valley. But even with the power of the Kyuubi under his belt, and the strength of the Sharingan at his beckon, Madara lost the battle. Stabbed in the back by a man that was once his friend. Betrayed by his clan, his family, seen as a pariah who would rekindle the flames of war, called the person that stole his brother's eyes. Had lost everything when he felt the cold metal of the sword pierce his chest. In remembrance of the conflict that happened all those years ago, 2 statues were erected. One of Hashirama and the other of Madara, holding the seal of confrontation. The place where Hashirama Senju defeated the Kyuubi. And the place where Madara died. Or so everyone thought. Present day. The valley was quiet, nothing could be heard. Except for the loud chirping of birds emanating from within the valley itself. Sasuke Uchiha, the last loyal Uchiha of Konohagakure, had fled his village, in order to gain power from Orochimaru of the Sannin. The reason why he was joining the treacherous snake was so he could become stronger to kill his older brother Itachi, and avenge his clan, that were massacred by said brother. He knew that at his current level he could never defeat Itachi even with the cursed seal of heaven, and he knew it. So he sought ever more power. Sasuke also left for other reasons, such as his teammate, Naruto Uzumaki, becoming stronger than him in a few months. And if there was one thing Sasuke disliked, it was being weak compared to other combatants, especially the dead last of his academy years. Naruto Uzumaki was a hyperactive, unpredictable, knucklehead blonde ninja that wore a hideous orange jumpsuit that screamed "kill me." How he was able to evade the Chunin and the Anbu of the village was a total mystery to everyone. Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. The massive fox the size of the Hokage mountain was sealed into him when he was a newborn by the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze. The blonde had been ostracized his entire life. He would be subjected to glares of hatred and fear, or his entire existence would be ignored altogether, along with the rare beatings he would get from the villagers. So he created a psychological mask to hide his pain and anger, and later that mask became his personality. Naruto's skill as a shinobi wasn't very good to begin with. The teachers at the academy would tamper with his tests and sabotage his learning. Only Iruka was willing to teach him. Well, Iruka was one of the only people to acknowledge Naruto's existence and see him as him instead of the fox. But now he was at the mercy of a comrade that was like his brother. When Sasuke left the village, Tsunade, the Go-Daime Hokage, assigned recently promoted Shikamaru Nar to create a retrieval team to bring Sasuke back to the village. Although she preferred to lock up the spoiled brat or give him a massive beating. Shikamaru brought along a highly capable team of genin. Kiba Inizuka, a heavy hitter and great tracker. Choji Akimichi, just your well-rounded ninja, though not too bright. Neji Hyuga, the prodigy of the Hyuga clan. His Byakugan would be a major asset. And our favorite blonde ninja Naruto Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. They pursued Sasuke endlessly through the land of fire, where each squad mate sacrificed themselves to battle the members of the Sound Four. But some unforeseen complications arose with the arrival of Kimimaro Kaguya. Naruto wasn't a challenge to subordinate of Orochimaru, and he was wasting time by battling him. He had to get to Sasuke. But with the timely appearance of Rock Lee, was he able to go after Sasuke directly without interference? And now we find ourselves at the current time and place. Sasuke holding up Naruto in his right hand with the power of the curse seal empowering him. A Chidori in his left hand, the signature technique of Kakashi Hatake of the Sharingan Eye. Naruto was thoroughly dominated by the Sharingan user. He could barely fight back thanks to the speed and strength the curse seal gave the Uchiha. So many emotions were going through Naruto's head, sadness and anger the most prominent. Sasuke, why? Asked Naruto as he felt his throat being crushed. The reason is simple, Naruto, it's because that pathetic village could offer me no more power to help me kill Itachi. Spoke the Uchiha. But right now, I can get even more power. Sakura started having flashbacks to what Itachi told him about the Mingekyo Sharingan, about how he needed to take the life of his best friend by taking your life in exchange for the Mingekyo. And with those words, Sasuke rammed his Chidori through Naruto's heart. However, the blonde's own thoughts occupied his attention away from the hand through his chest. Sasuke, I thought you were my brother. I was happy that there was someone like me out there. I wanted to be like you, strong and confident. All their eyes were on you, praising you. I wanted those eyes to look at me as well. We may have hated each other in the beginning, but I loved it. I loved competing against you, and someday I wanted to be acknowledged by you, Sasuke. Thought Naruto as his eyes closed. Sasuke removed his hand from Naruto's chest, an emotionless look on his face. He then tossed Naruto in the water, and proceeded to the land of sound. Goodbye Naruto, thought Sasuke as he spared one last glance at the valley. Tears were now visible, and they were falling freely from the Uchiha's eyes. He didn't notice that his Sharingan morphed into the Mingekyo. His Mingekyo consisted of 3 ellipses that converged on the pupil resembling an atom model. Taking the life of someone precious to you and regretting it was a price only an Uchiha could make. The Kyuubi was lying in his cage with the kanji for seal in the middle. Darkness was encroaching from every corner of Naruto's mind. The Kyuubi felt its own life slipping away with each passing second. The wound is too great for me to heal with my chakra, so this is how it ends. Stupid brat, he got me killed, and now I'm going to die within your spawn Kushina. Curse you, Yondaime Hokage, for giving me this fate. I hope that pitiful village of yours was worth the price of your son, Shodaime Hokage. Your wretched will of fire has been extinguished. Spat the Kyuubi to no one in particular. It closed its eyes as it died, its chakra discreetly dispersing around the world. As Naruto was floating above the river, a gaping hole within his chest. His thoughts were occupied by his pink-haired teammate. I'm sorry Sakura, I wasn't able to bring him back. I just wanted to make you happy, and that I never got to tell you how I felt. Those were Naruto Uzumaki's final thoughts before the Shinigami claimed him, and he drew his last breath of life. Unknown to anyone, there was a third party nearby. It watched the entire spectacle. This figure was wearing a black cloak emblazoned with red clouds. It had a Venus flytrap extension that covered its torso and head. It had short green hair and yellow eyes. One half of its body was completely white while the other half was black and lacked any facial features except a round eye. That was quite the fight. Shut up. That was the most one-sided fight I've ever seen. If only he called on the Kyuubi's chakra, he would have won. Compared to the power of Biju, Orochimaru's curse seal doesn't hold a candle to it. Spoke the plant, human thing. Although, this could present us with an invaluable opportunity. Spoke the black half. What do you mean? Inquired the white half. Although the Kyuubi's chakra has dispersed toward the corners of the world, its Jinchuriki's body is still mostly intact. Uttered the black half. Can you still elaborate? Asked the white half. I thought you were smarter than this. It doesn't matter. Jinchuriki are known to have massive supplies of chakra, because their coils have to harden in order for their bodies to cope with the stress of the Biju's chakra. Stated the black half. So this boy has large reserves of chakra. The black half seemed to sigh at its counterpart. Isn't that what it just said? Yes, the average chakra reserves for a Chunin level Jinchuriki are greater than that of a Kage, said the black thing. However, there's more, because that Jinchuriki was among the last members of the Uzumaki clan. Continued the black half. Who were the Uzumaki clan again? Probed the white half. They were an extremely powerful shinobi clan of Fuinjutsu users, sealing jutsu, answered the black half. Fuinjutsu, an extremely powerful ninja art, spoke the white half. The Uzumaki also had great stamina and life force, coupled with their extremely powerful and large chakra reserves. A Chunin level Uzumaki had the chakra reserves of a Kage, and so on and so forth. I see. Then if this kid lived well into his adult years, he would have Biju level chakra reserves, spoke the plant thing. However, there's more, said the black half, garnering the white half's attention. The Uzumaki were also an offshoot clan of the Senju, who broke away from the clan when they tired from the fighting with the Uchiha. They later fled to an island which they dubbed the Land of Whirlpools, and created powerful seals and jutsu. However, they also had close ties with the Senju. This friendship was strengthened even further when Nido Uzumaki married Hashirama Senju. So this boy is a descendant of the younger son of the Sage of Six Paths, they said. I see now, if we were to bring the boy to him, he can get what we want, and we can finally finish what he started. He could combine the sage's body, and the sage's eyes, uttered the white half. Exactly. So shall we do it? Asked the white half, even though it already knew the answer. Yes. The plant man thing made its way down to the valley and walked across the water using its chakra, where it picked up Naruto's body that was still floating on the surface. It headed to the bank of the river where it melted with the ground and disappeared along with the body of Naruto. Kakashi Hatake, prize student of the Yondaime Hokage, was running with the wind at his back, and desperation filled his heart. With him was his personal summons, a pug dog by the name of Pakin. It's not much farther, their scent is getting stronger, shouted Pakin. But Pakin, I just hope we make it, said Kakashi, fear evident in his voice. Then the side of the valley of the end was in sight. However, it started to rain, which would complicate things for Kakashi. Double time, Kakashi, we're losing Sasuke's scent, yelled Pakin. At the rate they were going, they wouldn't be able to make it. Kakashi and Pakin burst forth from the tree line and gazed upon the valley. They made their way down into the basin at the feet between the two legendary shinobi. I'm sorry, Kakashi, I've lost his scent. The rain will wash away any trace of his scent, spoke Pakin dejectedly. But Kakashi didn't appear to hear him. The silver-haired man was searching the valley for any inkling of another person. Where's Naruto? Kakashi asked out loud. From what I can gather with my nose, Naruto's scent stops here. Even with the rain, I would still be able to get a general direction, but it's as I said, informed Pakin. It's likely that Naruto ended up in the river, where his scent would be untraceable. Okay, Pakin, take the left side of the bank, and I will take the right. Bark when you find any sign of Naruto, commanded Kakashi. He had already lost one student, he wasn't going to lose another. The shinobi and his dog summoned searched along the river for hours on end. They didn't find anything. In fact, they found nothing that can prove if Naruto was alive or dead. After 6 hours of scouring the banks of the river, they decided to head back to Konoha and see if any news on Naruto had survived. Or at least that was what Kakashi hoped for. Sasuke, Kabuto and Orochimaru, who had recently traded bodies, were walking through their underground hovel. They passed by multiple people. Men, women and children were locked behind bars, moaning and crying in pain and sorrow. Sasuke seemed unfazed by all the torture he was seeing. His own pain was far greater than theirs. I'm so glad you were able to make it to my base relatively unharmed, Sasuke-kun, drawled Orochimaru in his heavenly but vile voice. Just give me the power I desire soon, spat Sasuke. Kabuto, who had been watching the interaction, was not impressed. Should I remind that you are speaking to Orochimaru-sama, and that you should show proper respect, snapped Kabuto as he grabbed Sasuke's shoulder, but flinched when he felt the intensity of the Uchiha's chakra. Such strong chakra, thought Kabuto as he shuddered from the touch. Yes, he's the one that shall be my next vessel. These next 3 years, and the future are going to be quite intriguing indeed, thought Orochimaru gleefully as he licked his lips. How right he is. Kakashi had just returned to Konoha, where he met Sakura at the gate just like she was last time. When she asked where Sasuke and Naruto were, he responded with I don't know. Kakashi also noted the rain that was at the valley seemed to follow him all the way back to the village. As he walked to the Hokage Tower, people were running around taking shelter, hopefully to escape the downpour. Kakashi himself was cold and drenched to his very core. His gravity-defying silver hair was downcast and dark. Even though you couldn't see his face, you could tell that Kakashi wasn't doing so well on the inside. When he reached the tower, he was about to knock, but hesitated at the last second. How would he tell Tsunade of Naruto's disappearance? He knew that she didn't care about Sasuke at all. But the blonde, orange-wearing knucklehead was like a son to her. How would she take the news? Gathering all his confidence, he knocked on her door twice. He heard it come in from the other side. When he entered, he saw Tsunade working behind her desk, a bottle of sake on her right side. But something wasn't right. She had bags under her amber eyes, as if stress had really gotten to her, and you could see some wrinkles on around her face. It seemed that she had dropped her special henge just a little. Anything to report, Kakashi? She asked in a stalwart voice, snapping Kakashi from his wondering eyes. Yes, Tsunade-sama, I tracked the scent of Sasuke Uchiha with my personal ninkin, Pakin. We found the scent when it started to rain that eventually diluted his scent, making it untraceable, reported Kakashi. Tsunade noted that something seemed off about his report, like something was eating at him. She looked down at her desk. She pondered asking this question, but she needed to know. And what of Naruto? Kakashi didn't say anything, but a red flag popped up in his head. What do you mean? Didn't Naruto arrive with the rest of his squad mates? Asked Kakashi fearfully. Tsunade seemed to deflate at this. He wasn't found with the others, asked Kakashi, fearing the answer. No, please tell me Kakashi, did you find any trace of him, implored Tsunade. No, Pakin and I searched the valley and the riverside, and we found no remnants of Naruto, only his scent which stopped at the valley, but Sasuke also wasn't there, but he's alive, replied Kakashi. I don't care about the spoiled Uchiha. Where's Naruto? Tell me, roared Tsunade. Spoke Kakashi, but he was interrupted, but the arrival of a new voice. He's dead, Kakashi, and Tsunade turned to see Jiraiya sitting on the windowsill, his arms crossed, and he was angry unbelievably, so his visage was marred in an eternal sneer. What? The two other ninjas said at the same time. Thunder struck in the background, creating a sense of foreboding. It's true, I was contacted by Fukasaku-sama telling me that Naruto's name was taken off the summoning registration board at Miyabakizen. He really is dead, said Jiraiya angrily. And he was killed by Sasuke Uchiha. Jiraiya spat the name like it was venom in his mouth. I stuttered Kakashi. But he was silenced by Jiraiya. Shut up, remember back on the hospital roof on how you berated me on trying to teach Naruto how to protect himself, for he would need it when the Akatsuki would come after him, growled Jiraiya. But what did you teach Sasuke? That's right, you taught him a bunch of fire jutsus and the Chidori, a jutsu designed for killing. You may have sealed the curse seal's dark effects, but you gave him the power to wield. It almost sounds like you wanted Sasuke to use that power. Kakashi just looked down at the floor in guilt. You didn't even bother to learn what nature affinity Naruto had. You just pushed him to the side and gave him to someone that openly despised him. Well, you taught the Uchiha how to properly kill someone, scolded Jiraiya. Minato never showed favoritism, not to you or any of your other teammates. This just proves to me that you're not fit to be a sensei, and now Minato's legacy is dead, all because you weren't bothered to teach him. I can understand because of Obito, but still the level of attention to Naruto was barely minimal. Jiraiya's words was like swords piercing Kakashi's heart. The only thing you did teach him was to climb trees with your chakra, which is the basic necessity for all ninja, and all those useless teamwork exercises. Look how that turned out. I'm the only person that really taught him anything. I taught him one of his father's treasured jutsu, the Rasengan, and you berate me for teaching him what was rightfully his. Jiraiya nearly shouted. Tsunade didn't choose to intervene because Kakashi needed to hear this. She agreed on Jiraiya's assessment. Even though Sarutobi praised Orochimaru, he never showed any favoritism to him or her. Jiraiya, you can add this to the list of all the failures you have made in your life. You failed Minato, you failed Kushina, and you also failed Obito and Rin. Jiraiya stopped his verbal assault and turned toward the window. Minato would be disappointed, Kushina would be disappointed, Sarutobi-sensei would be disappointed. They would all be disappointed in you. I hope you have the guts to face them when it's your time to go, said Jiraiya, as he jumped away from the Hokage tower. Hokage-sama, said Kakashi. Just leave, I want you out of my sight this instant. Don't show your face to me in another week, ordered the Hokage. Kakashi didn't look up, he just dragged himself out of the office. If you would look closely, you could see tears falling freely like a waterfall. Tsunade had her hands intertwined together, her eyes were overshadowed by her hair. Silent tears were crawling down from her eyes as she silently cried. Her cursed necklace had taken another one of her precious people, the boy who was like a son to her. She sobbed for hours because she wouldn't hear the hyperactive blonde's voice again. She wouldn't see the hideous orange jumpsuit he loved to wear. She would never see his big foxy smile, the smile that filled her with happiness that she would never feel again. She blamed Sasuke and she also blames Kakashi. But no matter how many people she would blame or how many times, it couldn't bring the whiskered blonde back to her. Kakashi was on his way to the memorial stone. He would go there every day to speak to his best friend Obito Uchiha, the person that gave him the Sharingan. Jiraiya's words hit him hard, but he was right. He failed Minato, he failed Kushina, he failed Rin, he failed Obito, and now he failed Naruto. Kakashi's life were only filled with failures. Kakashi-sensei, the copycat ninja, looked up and saw his last remaining student, Sakura Haruno. The pink-haired girl looked worried, like there was something on her mind that always seemed to bother her. Yo, Sakura, said Kakashi, downcast in sadness. Where's Naruto and Sasuke-kun? She asked curiously. He couldn't tell her here, not in the middle of the street. Follow me to the memorial stone, uttered Kakashi. Sakura nodded and followed after her sensei. When they reached the memorial stone, they didn't say anything until Sakura brought up a conversation to speak about. Kakashi-sensei, I've been thinking lately. She said, her eyes never left the stone that was in front of her. When I was waiting at the gates for Naruto and his team to come back, asked me something. She asked me who I was waiting for, and I answered Naruto. I was waiting for him, and not Sasuke-kun, she continued. Kakashi just listened to her now telling her that Naruto was dead was becoming harder, and his guilt was weighing heavily on him. I then started thinking about Naruto, and all he's done for me. I was so cruel to him, when he just wanted to be my friend. I berated him when he brought up an idea, and when Sasuke-kun suggested the same thing I'd praise him for it and not Naruto. I then remembered his promise to me. I could see he was hurt when I asked him to bring Sasuke back. I don't know whether he was hurt because he saw me so sad, or whether it hurt him because he thought my heart belonged to someone else. But when he put aside his own feelings for my own, I was so happy. Happy because he was so selfless and caring. Now that I think about it, he never treated me in a bad way. To Kakashi, this was just becoming harder and harder with every word she said. I then remembered a time when we were younger. I was being bullied by these boys who were making fun of my forehead, but Naruto came over and defended me. Eventually the boys beat him up. If it wasn't for my mom who came around the corner, they would continue beating him. So she stopped the boys hitting Naruto. But when she saw that it was him, she turned away and took my hand, saying to stay away from him. I was too young to understand. Maybe I'll never understand. Kakashi just let a few stray tears escape his eyes, knowing what her mother meant by stay away from him. Later I became the one who would verbally hurt Naruto and put him down to make myself feel better. Sakura, Kakashi said, but she continued. When we became a Genin team, I was so happy that I was on Sasuke-kun's team. Later I was sitting alone by myself. When I saw Sasuke-kun, he complimented me on the one thing I hated, my forehead. But now when I look back at our time as a team, I realized that Sasuke would never say that to me, but it was something that Naruto would say. And now that I look back, I figured something out, that the one I truly love, the one that would sacrifice anything for me, even his own happiness, the one that stood by me the whole time, is Naruto. I love Naruto, and when he comes back, I'll tell him that, and then I'll share my feelings with him, she said with pure determination. I used to think that I knew what love was, but it was just some wayward crush. True love is putting one's happiness above your own, and that's what Naruto would do for me in a heartbeat. But I want to be happy with him. This was too hard for Kakashi. He would have to tell. She deserved to know. So when will Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun beat back? She asked with unrestrained glee. That's the problem, Sakura, said Kakashi. The pink-haired girl was confused. Why was Kakashi so sad? There were complications on the retrieval mission, spoke Kakashi with his head still down. What do you mean? She was fearing the worst. What did Kakashi know that she didn't? Naruto is dead. Those words seemed to shatter glass. No, it can't be, she muttered as she took some steps back. Her eyes were now watering, and she felt this pain in her chest like someone clenching her heart. He was killed by Sasuke. That was the final nail in the coffin, as Sakura's waterworks started to flow. She ran out of the training ground, leaving Kakashi alone. Kakashi didn't make a glance at the memorial stone. He was just filled with guilt. He dropped to his knees as his tears started again. Minato-sensei, I'm sorry I failed to protect your son, said Kakashi as he freely sobbed. None had ever seen this side of Kakashi, not since Obito died. Shikamaru Naru was waiting in the hospital. No news had come in from his teammates. Even worse, there was no news on Naruto. He battled a powerful member of Orochimaru's elite followers. She used summons and a strange flute. If it wasn't for the arrival of Gaara's sister Temari, then he would be dead. The only injury he suffered was a broken finger. He saw something in the corner of his eye. Tsunade, the Go-Daime Hokage, walking towards him. He could see visible tear streaks. Shikamaru, we need to talk. She now had his undivided attention. It's about Naruto. Hope seemed to fill Shikamaru until it was knocked down by the news she gave him. It can't be. No, he shouted within the hospital. I will call a council meeting, and then I will inform the village. I'm truly sorry, she said as she started crying again. She turned her back on the young Nara as kept chanting no. The council room was filled up. The semicircle-like table was in the middle with the heads of the respective shinobi council on the left, and the civilian council on the right with the elders in the middle. Then Tsunade walked in slowly, her head down, which seemed to spark something in the minds of the shinobi council and the elders. Why have you called us today, Tsunade-sama? Asked Koharu Utatane, one of the Hokage's advisors. I came to inform you of the results of the retrieval team tasked with capturing Sasuke Uchiha and returning him to the village, she said emotionlessly. So has Uchiha-sama been returned to the village? Asked a fat member of the civilian council. No, the mission was a failure. It resulted with a shinobi being mildly injured, to another that would require care for a few weeks, 2 critically injured and 1 death. So who were the shinobi that were wounded? Asked another civilian member. The one that was mildly wounded was Shikamaru Naru. The other that would require some treatment is Kiba Inuzuka, and the 2 that were critically injured were Choji Akamichi and Eiji Hyuga, informed Tsunade. And who was the 1 death? Asked Hiyashi Hyuga, generally curious. Naruto Uzumaki. He was killed by Sasuke Uchiha, choked Tsunade. When the civilian council heard the news, they immediately started to cheer, happy that the demon was gone, and that Uchiha-sama saved us. When the shinobi council heard this, they were both saddened and repulsed. Saddened by the blonde's passing, because they believed he was a pure soul who couldn't do anything that would make him evil. Because they weren't idiots, they knew the difference between a kunai and the skull it was sealed into. and they were repulsed by the civilian council's total disregard to the blonde's life. The elders were worried. They had lost their Jinchuriki, their military power had taken a nosedive. If word spread to the other nations that Konoha had lost its Jinchuriki, then the other nations may attack. Tsunade was barely controlling her anger at the stupidity of the civilians, until one of them asked a stupid question. Okage-sama, will the civilian council request that a statue be erected to honor Uchiha-sama's great deed? Shut up. No, I will never create a statue for that spoiled brat. He just abandoned the village, joined Orochimaru and killed a Konoha, and I, the Go-Daime Hokage, hereby declare Sasuke Uchiha wanted Nukenin, announced Tsunade, her anger overweighing her sadness. The Shinobi Council seconded this declaration, said Shikaku Nar. All the other Shinobi clan heads nodded at this. Later the village was informed of Naruto's death and Sasuke's defection. Half the village were cheering and throwing parties in celebration of the death of the demon, while the other half were sorrowful because the blonde had done so much for them already. When Gaara heard the news, he was crushed. The first person that treated him like someone worthy of existence was dead. He made a vow that he would strive to become great to serve Naruto's legacy. He would not allow revenge to consume, but should he come across Sasuke Uchiha, he would not hesitate to kill him. Iruka was angry and sad, but mainly angry. The person that was like a younger brother to him was dead, and the idiotic villagers were celebrating. He knew what kind of life Naruto led. He acknowledged his suffering. But he was even more disappointed that Naruto's death was at the hands of another of his students. He decided to lock himself in his apartment, and no one had seen the scarred Chunin for a whole week before he revealed himself. To everyone around him, he was a mess. He had bags under his eyes, and his cheeks and eyes were red and puffy, probably from all the crying. Out of everyone that was informed of Naruto's death, Konohamaru took it the hardest. He locked himself in his room and hardly came out for a week until Naruto's funeral. The whiskered boy was like an older brother to him, but now he was gone, just like his grandfather, the Sandaime Hokage. He wasn't for a long time. The smell of ramen didn't jolt him from his depression, and even the mention of Naruto's name around him made his depression worse and worse with each beating second. He hadn't felt like this since the death of his grandfather when Orochimaru invaded the village with help from Suna. It was always raining after Naruto's death. It rained non-stop as if the heavens were weeping that such a pure soul was gone. Everyone that liked Naruto or had met him in person attended except Kakashi, where he wasn't invited, and Jiraiya because it was too painful for him. The people that did attend were all the Konoha Genin in the last Chunin exams, along with their proctors and senseis. Even the Sand siblings went. The funeral lasted for a few hours where everybody started to leave, but one person stayed. This person was Konohamaru Sarutobi. He just looked at the tombstone without a body. I promise that your sacrifice won't be in vain. I will continue your legacy and become stronger for your sake, Naruto-ni-san, said Konohamaru as he made a promise he intended to keep. At Miyabakizan, the elder sage was in deep thought. How could someone like Naruto die so early? He secretly knew that Naruto was the child he spoke about in his prophecies. So why did the world think he was dead? Unless another force may have a hand in bringing Naruto back, and the elder knew that whatever it wasn't good. In a dark place stood a man with metallic purple eyes, with concentric rings surrounding his pupil. However, his body was distorted and it appeared like a rainbow. Then images of other people with different eyes, but the same distorted, appeared around him. All of them had one thing in common: they had black cloaks with red clouds on them. How long has it been since we were all together like this? Asked a tall man with beady eyes. 7 years, not since Orochimaru left the organization to pursue his idiotic goals, said a hunched person. So Orochimaru has the Sharingan. Hey Itachi, isn't that your little brother? Said another member. Itachi didn't visibly react to this jab, nor did he speak in any other way. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is dead, said the plant-like member among them. Really, Zetsu, who killed the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Demanded the member with the ripple-like eyes in a dangerous voice. It was Sasuke Uchiha, Itachi's brother, answered the plant man now identified as Zetsu. If you had only killed your brother the night of the massacre, the Kyuubi would still be alive. Instead, its chakra is dispersed, which has set us back by years, reprimanded another with green eyes. Itachi didn't say anything, but his thoughts were different. Foolish little brother, you have made the greatest mistake anyone could make in your shoes, thought Itachi as he closed his eyes. We will just have to wait until the Kyuubi reforms, although that will take about 5 years. Until then we extract the rest of the Biju, but the Kyuubi must be sealed last, or else the plan will fail. Now go and use the time you have now to train yourselves until we face the Jinchuriki, commanded the person that seemed to be the leader. All the illusionary bodies then began to disappear, except for Itachi. Naruto, I don't believe that you are dead, and if so then, where are you? Thought Itachi as his illusionary body also disappeared. The low man, withered man, was sitting upon a tree-like throne. He had light gray hair that went down to his waist, and 2 shoulder-length bangs, one covered his right eye entirely. He wore a black robe that covered most of his body, except for his back, which had 3 tubes connected to a massive statue. He was completely skinny, and his face had many wrinkles, along with a single visible Sharingan eye. He also had the remnants of an old Kusarigama that acted like a cane. He seemed immobile. If anyone saw him, they would assume he wasn't breathing. This man had seen and participated in thousands of battles. He had witnessed death in every corner of his vision. But yet it didn't affect him at all. He had lost too much to war, too much to hatred. He was once called a god, but now he was nothing more than a dusty scroll who had both of his feet in the grave, but refused to die. How long has it been since he saw sunlight, since he smelled the forests around him? To him, time had no meaning, no purpose. He was just waiting, but for what exactly he didn't know. He hadn't seen the face of another person for he doesn't care how long. He seemed to be taken out of his thoughts as his subordinate. Zetsu rose up from the ground. His flight trap was the first thing he saw, but he quickly took notice of a bundle of cloth in Zetsu's arms. The bundle was large, but not too big, and it wasn't tiny, but it was small compared to Zetsu. Zetsu, breathed the man hoarsely. What are you doing here, and what is that in your arms? Questioned the withered man as he pointed his side at the cloth. The reason why I'm here is because of what I'm carrying, answered Zetsu. He laid the bundle down on the ground carefully in front of the old man, to which the skeleton narrowed his lone, visible eye. The man picked up his kusarigama and used the blade to unwrap the wad. What he saw made his eyes narrow even more in suspicion. It was a boy, well, to be more precise, it was a dead boy with a gaping hole in his chest. This boy had sun-kissed blonde hair that was wild and untamed. He couldn't see his eyes because they were closed. He had 3 distinct whisker-like marks on each cheek, and he was wearing a repugnant orange jumpsuit that just disgusted him to no end. Tell me, Zetsu, why did you bring me this corpse? Inquired the mummy with a melancholic look. You always wanted someone to continue your plans, and I have found someone who could guarantee that. Responded Zetsu happily, as if nothing bothered him. I would have preferred someone whose blade had pierced flesh and taken life away, and more importantly, if his heart was beating. Barked the old man, who then started having coughing fits. But what if I told you that this boy is a former Jinchuriki who also descends from the Uzumaki clan? Replied Zetsu. Now the man was intrigued. He knew everything about the Uzumaki clan, especially their blood ties to the Senju and their amazingly powerful chakra. Though, he was also killed by an Uchiha for the Mingekyo. Stated Zetsu matter-of-factly. The old man didn't care. Interesting, said the man. A member of the Uzumaki clan, and also former Jinchuriki. Intriguing. He could become an extremely powerful shinobi. If taught correctly, this could present me with the opportunity to continue it. So you assume that, if I return his life, then persuade him to might become part of my plan, he could become an extraordinarily powerful asset that could further my goals? Queried the old man, where he received a nod from the colored thing in front of him. Very good, Zetsu. The man shifted his eyes toward the body of Naruto. But tell me, what of his skill level? Asked the wilted man. From what I was able to gather, he knows the basic ninjutsu from the academy, but he has 3 powerful jutsu in his arsenal. But don't bother with genjutsu with his chakra levels. He would be unable to perform genjutsu. However, I don't know about taijutsu. Explained Zetsu. The white half seemed to be happy that he was pleasing his master. The other didn't seem to care. And what would be these ninjutsu? Responded the parched man. He knows the Shadow Clone Jutsu and a Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. Also, he knows a powerful A-rank ninjutsu that took his creator 3 years to develop, but it took him 1 week to master. Claimed the 2 halves. Now the old shinobi was knee-deep in getting his hands on the boy. It didn't matter how much natural talent you had or how hard you worked. If you had the Shadow Clone Jutsu, it wouldn't matter, for you could learn 1 year's worth of experience in 6 months. And a jutsu he mastered in a week, an A-rank jutsu. He had a lot of potential from what Zetsu was telling him. You truly brought me a diamond among rocks, Zetsu. My faith is not given out easily, but you have earned it. His lone Sharingan shifted into a purple eye with multiple rings around his pupil resembling a ripple pattern. He went through a few hand seals before stopping at the snake seal, and focused his chakra intensely. Dato. Rinne Tensei no Jutsu. A demonic head faded through the ground. It was surrounded by a purple aura, and had the kanji for king on its forehead. It opened its mouth, and out came a single wisp of green energy which ensnared Naruto's body. It instantly healed his wound, where his heart should have been. However, there was a scar over his heart that seemed to look like lightning sparking away from the point of impact. Madara knew that if he wasn't directly connected to the statue, he would die. A few seconds passed and one could hear heavy breathing coming from Naruto. He was alive, but he was unconscious. He would not awaken for a few more days, so Zetsu began a blood transfusion. Zetsu nodded at his master's command and readied the necessary things required for a transfusion. A few hours later, the transfusion was a complete success. The man's blood was now running through this boy's veins, granting him the old man's gifts, to be the boy's own. So tell me, Zetsu of the Uchiha that killed him? The old man was curious, but he needed Zetsu to confirm his suspicions. Oh, could I tell him, please? Begged the white half to his black counterpart. Knowing that its other half was going to interrupt when it talked, the black half just let it speak whatever was on its mind. Fine. Well, the Uchiha was just and he. That's right, he left the village to join up with the Nukenin. What was his name? Or Gano? Said the white half, trying to place the name. Orochimaru, answered the black half. They've seen the man before and they were just at a meeting discussing his actions. How could it forget? The name is easy to remember. Yeah, that's it. Who's this? Orochimaru. He, spoke the white man, before he was interrupted by the black one. He was a former student of the Sandaime Hokage, here in Sarutobi. During the Second Great Shinobi War he aided his village greatly along with his two teammates Jiraiya and Tsunade Senju. The old man scowled at the name Senju, as if someone had just kicked his puppy. They later fought an icon of the shinobi world, Hanzo no Sanshao, where the old ninja would spare the three of them, and give them the title of Densetsu no Sanin. Later Orochimaru performed ghastly experiments on children, where he would later flee his village and become a criminal. He was also the orchestrator of the Konoha invasion I informed you of, where he assassinated the Yondaime Kazukage, and tried to assassinate the Sandaime Hokage, his former teacher. But he was barely able to kill the old Hokage, despite the fact that Sarutobi lost much of his power thanks to old age. Orochimaru even went as far to revive his two predecessors, but their power was being limited at the time. Even still, the Sandaime came out on top when he sealed the two Hokage, and took away the ability to wield hand seals by sealing Orochimaru's arms. This Orochimaru was barely able to kill Tobirama's monkey, even when old age had affected him, and he couldn't kill this Hanzo, a shinobi from some backwash village, even with two others, among them is Senju. The old ninja was quickly gathering his thoughts. Orochimaru doesn't sound like much of a great shinobi. I know that Sarutobi is strong. He may be stronger than Tobirama, but he is still far from comparing to Hashirama's, or my own level in power. My future student would become much greater of a threat than his Padawan Uchiha, said the man as he chuckled darkly. A few days later Naruto woke, and he saw nothing but darkness. He adjusted his eyes, to become accustomed to the rare light in the dark place. Where am I? Am I dead? Whispered Naruto the void, hoping for someone to answer him. He just wanted to hear a voice that would assure him, to ease him. He believed himself to be dead, but was he truly? Then a voice cut through the air like a knife through butter. In the realm between that which is eternal. Naruto looked up and saw the oldest man he had ever seen. This guy topped the Sandaime Hokage in old age easily. And he was standing over him like a statue. This guy, he has Sasuke's eyes. Is he an Uchiha like him? Thought Naruto as he stared at the man with half-lidded eyes. His whole body was numb. He couldn't really move. He couldn't feel anything other than the air and dust on his skin. A realm between that which is eternal. Just what kind of place is it? Queried the blonde as he stared at the man, tired and numb. The light did not obey Naruto's whim as the realm was dark, too dark. A realm of nothingness would be precise, answered the withered man. A place that sits between two higher powers. Naruto stared at him some more, taking in his words. Just where was he? How did he end up in this place? I can't remember much now that I think. He paused in his sentence when it all came rushing back to him. The mission to retrieve his friend, his promise to Sakura, his death. Sasuke, shouted Naruto as he pulled himself up. Ow 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 ow. He chanted, clutching the area above his heart, but, what? I don't feel any pain. Where's the wound? Then he noticed something strange. There was a strange lightning-like scar over his chest where his heart should be. Also, he was naked. Then he looked back at the old man again. I have healed your wounds, and restored your life. If you can feel your heart pumping, that is a sign that you're alive, spoke the old man, as Naruto just stared at him with open eyes, but he trailed his eyes downward to see the man holding an old scythe which glinted a little. No, you're Shinigami who's brought me back to life, so to take me to hell? Please, please, I want to live, screamed Naruto in a girly way. Okay, sorry if I took those pervy magazines. They're not mine, I swear they're Kiba's. The old man's sweat dropped at the blonde's behavior. Just how did perverted magazines matter? I am not the Shinigami young Uzumaki, and you are not dead yet, although I am a Shinigami in a way, said the old man with a small smirk. Naruto examined the old man. This guy looked like some old bat who would argue with his wife. But still. So you saved me, old man, thanks. Thanked Naruto, who was generally happy to be alive. But a thought came to him. No. Please tell me you're not some shinobi pedo like that Orochimaru-tun. He screamed at the top of his lungs, while anime tears cascaded down his face. I don't swing that way. Someone, please save me. I am not a pedo, young Uzumaki, stated the withered man with a hint of anger at the rudeness and idiocy of the blonde before him. Oh, and if you aren't a pedo, then where are my clothes? Yelled Naruto. I burned them. Deadpanned the old man, which broke Naruto's stupor, and instead he started crying in anime tears over his beloved jumpsuit. Well, Naruto is thinking, did he have to burn my underwear? The underwear had little frogs on them. They were meant to be burned. But still, it's far too early to thank me. This garnered the blonde's attention. And I'm sure you have some nindo that you abide by. Naruto was about to answer him, but he was cut off. Don't answer that, I just know I'm right. Naruto looked at the man quizzically, and he was right, he did have a nindo. You just seem like the type that won't go back on his word. Naruto sighed and his body was still numb, but at least he could move in a way. Sorry old man, but I can't stay, my friends are counting on me, and I have to be there for them. Spoke Naruto with slight determination. Besides, I have to fulfill a promise I made to someone important to me. Naruto eased himself slowly off the bed, but the moment he tried to balance himself on his feet he fell, and the blanket covering his body was still hiding his lower regions. I have to return home, I have to, my friends need to know I'm alive. The promise you must fulfill, huh? Sighed Madara, as he watched Naruto scrambling on the cold ground. I have just brought you back to life, your muscles and internal organs are just starting to function again. It will take some time to fully recuperate from your revival, and if you move around more, you'll only damage yourself even more, and you may die again. No, I can't give up, I don't care, if you revive me, I will return to Konoha. Grunted Naruto as he tried to pick himself up off the floor, but failed for his body was still too weak, and he could feel this pain inside him like his stomach was twisting itself. The old man sighed as he continued to watch the boy try and fail to leave the dark hovel. But the blonde could barely lift himself up off the floor, and he would kill himself unless he got rest. Why do you repeat the same action, but expect a different result? Asked the man as he watched the boy continue to fail in his attempts. That he had to admit the child had determination. Because I don't give up and I always keep my word, for that's my ninja way, yelled Naruto with nothing but unbreakable stubbornness. The man continued to stare at the boy, his sheer determination was admirable, and he had a strong will. You could always judge someone by just a glance, but to form an opinion on them was watching them in action. Those words are empty, and not full of conviction. No matter how the wind howls, the mountain cannot bow to it. Spoke the man with wisdom. Saying something is far different than doing something. You have yet to realize that this is your birth by sleep, to wake up from this reality and accept what is before your eyes. But I... Naruto felt some stray tears prickling at the corners of his eyes as he lay on the dirty ground, his face buried on the cold floor. He was helpless, and he couldn't get back to his friends. No matter what he tried he couldn't leave, so he reined his composure and accepted that he wasn't going anywhere for now until he had recovered. The old man placed his scythe cane by the bed, and helped Naruto back onto the bed gently. "Guess who are you?" whispered Naruto as he laid back on the bed. He deserved to know the name of the person that brought him back to life at least. The man walked over and sat atop his root-like throne and cleared his throat, amassing the boy's attention. "As to who I am the ghost of the Uchiha. I am Madara Uchiha," said the man now known as Madara as light seemed to fill the dark. Naruto with his eyes adjusting to the room saw and beheld a large flower as tall as a mountain with a massive statue sitting in a lotus position with its hands chained together. And there were small tubes connecting the statue to the man. Naruto looked back at the legendary shinobi dumbly, and then he laughed. "You're right, you Madara Uchiha," as if Madara is dead. Madara's sweat dropped at the blonde. First of all, it was easier for him to believe that the old man was the Shinigami. Second, he originally thought he was a pedo, and third, he had the Sharingan. "Look into my eyes, Uzumaki." Naruto saw and beheld Sharingan eyes. One was hidden behind his bang. Naruto had forgotten about those eyes, where he chanted stupid multiple times in his head for not noticing them. "So you are Madara Uchiha?" stuttered Naruto as he peered into the blood-red eyes that reflected anger and hatred. "Yes, and I have also given you the power of the Uchiha clan," spoke Madara with little emotion. "I can awaken the Sharingan?" asked Naruto with a hint of excitement. "Yes, and you can use the bloodline like any other Uchiha," replied Madara. "Cool," said Naruto with a small smile. "You know, old man, you ain't half bad." Naruto was smiling his foxy grin. He didn't care now, he could get those cool eyes, and maybe he could perform genjutsu. Yes, but young Uzumaki, tell me, what do you think of this reality?" asked Madara. He needed to know if he was going to coerce the blonde to help him. "What do you mean?" inquired Naruto as his happy expression faded away. "What I mean is, what do you expect from this world?" pressed Madara. "Well, I expect love and friendship in this world, and hopefully a place where people would understand another and not have to fear and hate each other," responded Naruto, but Madara scoffed at the idea. "In this world, people don't get what they wish most, and that is a fact. We are subjected to the whims of this reality that is filled with suffering and hatred. When there is light, there is also darkness. One cannot exist without the other. This world is full of pain and futility. Those are the only things that exist in this reality," uttered Madara. "There are only winners and losers in this world, along with the selfish desires to create a lasting peace. But there can be no peace when the world is flooded by rage. The selfish desire of peace will only be temporary, and war will rise. Hatred is birthed from the protection of love, and more hatred will follow after it like vultures. Everything I have said is nexuses, bound together by an unbreakable chain that keeps adding on to its links. The chain cannot be broken, for we all wear it. There is nowhere to break the chain, normally. What you say has some truth to it," muttered Naruto as he looked away from Madara. I hate this world, I loathe it with every cell in my body. This world is hell and I have been condemned to live in it. Only the powerful decide fate, and not the weak. Without strength you will become a slave to those who are. I have cheated death too many times to know that I am strong enough to decide my fate, but still I'll be dead soon for immortality doesn't truly exist. But even still the strong can only do so much when compared to the power of the world. Time is every man's enemy for it devours all things, and nothing remains afterwards. I despise this world with all my being, that's why I want to change it, change what has been fated for this world. Announced Madara. I will create a world of peace and love where there is no hatred and no pain. That sounds wrong, said Naruto. You will think like that, for now, assured Madara. However, you could have anything you ever wanted in this dream world. I know how you Jinchuriki are treated. Sorry former Jinchuriki, they saw you as nothing more than a constant reminder of their pain, explained the Madara. Let me guess, the villagers they feared you, hated you, denied you the right to live, the right to love, and they ignored your existence altogether. You were a nobody, am I correct? Asked the shinobi. Well yes, whispered Naruto as his eyes were overshadowed by his hair. Then those people were stupid, they let their fears rule them, and their hatred blinded them, assured the innocent Uchiha. As long as there are things in this world that people don't understand, they will always live in terror, finished the Madara. But there are people I still care for, shouted Naruto. Like who? My fellow clan member, that killed you, bit back Madara. Naruto then started having flashbacks of his time with Sasuke, and he was right, Sasuke's hatred had consumed him, it became him, where he would hurt anyone, if it meant he would gain power. I see that you understand. Even if you try to leave this place, with your power and your weak body, death will come to you quickly, whispered Madara hoarsely. Naruto relented knowing that he was right. What would happen in this dream world? Questioned Naruto. Anything you ever wanted would become reality. You can create people, manipulate landscapes, even revive the dead, answered Madara where Naruto gasped. He could meet his parents, find out who they were. Madara then channeled chakra to his left eye and whispered Tsukiyomi. Naruto and Madara were then transported to a white void. This is what the dream world will initially look like. Then Madara's appearance began to change. He now looked much younger and healthier. This is what will happen. It's a genjutsu. However, my eye cannot create this. I require stronger power in order to create this genjutsu. What would you need? Asked Naruto as he was liking this plan more and more. In order to cast the genjutsu eye or another Menjikum Sharingan user, must cast the Tsukiyomi on the moon, informed Madara. Sounds easy enough, said Naruto brushing off what Madara said. No, if I could just cast Tsukiyomi on the moon, I would have done it already, retorted Madara. The old Uchiha then began to explain the history of the Jubi, along with the Rikidam Sennin and his sons. I see we require the power of the Jubi as a catalyst, so we could cast the Tsukiyomi on the moon, said Naruto, understanding everything he was told, surprising Madara with his intelligent talk. Exactly, however in order to revive the Jubi we need to combine the 9 Biju and seal them within the Gato Mazo, and then one of us would become its Jinchuriki, and we'd cast the genjutsu on the world, forcing everyone into the dreamscape, explained Madara. I have given you my blood which will allow you to control the Gato Mazo, however you require the Rinnegan to summon it. Naruto and Madara were now out of the genjutsu. Uzumaki gave you a second chance, so will you repay me someday, queried Madara. Naruto's eyes were downcast, and his hair was covering his eyes. But he nodded his head. This was the perfect chance for revenge against all those idiotic villagers. So, now is the time to ask, what is your first name? Asked Madara. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, announced the blonde Uzumaki, dropping his psychological mask. Milstrom, that's a strong name, a good one too, and do you have any regrets? Pressed Madara. I regret not killing Sasuke Uchiha, proclaimed Naruto as he made eye contact with Madara. However, instead of the ocean blue, they were now blood red with 3 tomo surrounding the pupil. However, the pattern changed into a 3-pointed side surrounding his red pupil. The eyes pattern almost looked like they hungered for death, to take lives almost like a shinigami. The eyes reflected the person's soul, those eyes reflected the need to harvest life itself. Very well, from today you are now my student, Naruto, said Madara with a small smile. Today we will commence the Eye of the Moon plan, said Naruto, and bring peace to this world. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.